think I'm gonna kick the heater on now on low. I have this thing full. I'd like to have it semi-warm in here. Put it on low setting. Kick that on. Today, when I get that flex pipe on, I might have to drop more of the exhaust to weld it on. But right now, battery's charged, going to advanced, and I need this. I broke down. I got on Rock Auto. I ordered a timing belt kit for this. This is going to be a very reliable vehicle when I'm done with it, and I can send it.
You guys silly? I'm still gonna send it.
It comes with an accessory belt plus a timing belt, and I ordered that cam seal. That's the main reason why I'm doing the timing belt, because the timing belt has to come off. Rock Auto had a good kit that I looked on Advanced Auto's website, and it was $135 for the kit. Rock Auto has the kit for $55. Same thing, same brand, everything. So we'll get all that in there. There's a big cover down here I can drop. Once I take the wheel out, you can get access to a lot of it through here. Yes. And once that is done, once the exhaust and that is done, the only thing, well, got to change the oil, but the only thing left is paint and bodywork. And then we will actually get to drive this, which I do want to drive it. I'm going to reuse that exhaust gasket. It's actually in good condition. I'm going to get some of that copper exhaust sealant to help with that, but yeah, we're going to reuse that. So we need to get this thing done, boys. Get me some grub, get me some parts. I'm also gonna get an SD card while I'm out, because I've been having some issues with corrupt video files on my camera, and I do not like it. I lost a little bit of footage last week. A week before, I lost a lot of footage, and I'm thinking it's the SD card. I'm hoping it's not this camera. Well, so far from Advanced Auto, I got 2 flange repair kits. 2 different ones, because they didn't have 2 of each one, so I got one. Because the exhaust flanges are about shot, and I'm going to have to probably take that one flange off of the catalytic converter. And they had flex pipes, but they were 10 inches long. They were huge, and I may be coming back to get them, but I really didn't want to have to cut that much out and put that big of a flex pipe in, but that might have to be the way we do it. So we're going to go inside here, or go across the road over here is Advanced Auto, and I'm going to see if they have a shorter flex pipe that I can get. Alright guys, AutoZone had a 6-inch, and I went up to a 2 1/4. This will slip over where that very fat weld is. I'll be able to butt this up against it. I'll grind it down and make it look nicer. I can weld that on. This end, I might cut a slit in it right here, and we'll put an exhaust clamp on and squeeze it down to the right size, and then I'll weld it all in. So it's nice, and doesn't look like the weld that's on there now. But yeah, I'm also gonna go grab oil for the Eclipse. Since I'm gonna be doing all this, I'm gonna go ahead and do a service. We'll get an oil filter, and we'll get all that done as well. Yeah, I'm using Walmart oil because this is a race car, and like I said, I went with 2 1/4. Look how big and how straight through that is, and this one was smashed. And look, I'm going to show you the difference here, side by side comparison. It's so much smaller. Anyways, so this we're going to weld on here after I clean up these really crappy welds on here, which I'm probably going to use them to my advantage since this is a bigger pipe. Yep, sure am. We're going to grind that down so it fits a little bit better. And we're going to weld it right to this pipe. And I'm going to take the pipe out from underneath, and we'll do that outside the car too. And it really doesn't matter how you align it. Being that this is a flex pipe, you can move it so that it'll line up. So that's the nice part about welding these up. You don't really have to be like precise when you weld them in. But, I mean, you want to be close, but you don't have to be precise because it's a flex pipe. Ding. Guys, I figured out why the welds are so fat on this. I started grinding it. And once I got down so far, I started seeing the steel mesh. That's the end of the old flex pipe. They left like the flex part on the end of it there, and then just ran welds around it. In fact, there's some places where the flex pipe, I don't know if you can even see that, but there's some places where you can still see some of the flex pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just chop it off right there on that fat weld so that I can grind it down and eliminate this debauchery here. And then I'll weld the pipe right to the, hopefully I'll have enough that I can weld it right to the end of this flange. I can grind it down and make it nicer than that. That's wonderful. Guys, would you look at that? Almost OEM! No, I ground that down, and I got it ground. It's on there about ½ an inch. I got those welds ground down, and I actually had to hammer this on here. So it's actually, look, it's not going anywhere, but I'm going to get a wire wheel and clean up around the edge here, and we'll throw down some fat beads. Get that done, and then this end, well, I'm going to fit this up, see how far over the pipe this goes, and we'll probably have to trim some of the exhaust off because this being longer. Well, I did cut back pretty far, but still, might have to cut off some of the exhaust, and then we'll get this on there. Alright bros, we got her welded up. I made several passes over this because the first couple long beads I threw down, I didn't have it set hot enough, I don't think. So after I set it a little bit hotter, then it started burning in better, and those welds turned out better. So I went over, you can see some spots it looked like I went over twice, and that was because I went over with another bead over top of it. But it's not going anywhere. That's strong. At least it doesn't look like it did. That was horrible. That looks really good compared to that. So at least I made it look nicer. Anyways, let me go line this up, see how much I need to take off of the rest of the muffler. Then I'm gonna have to pretty much break or drill the bolts out to the catalytic converter on that flange, because the flange, they're very rusty, just like the back ones were. And that's why I got two of those repair flanges, because I need one for the back side of the cat and one for the front side of the cat. So I'm going to take the bolts out that I already put in that one and put that repair flange in and put it back together. Way more open than what it was, and it's going to flow way better. So after tons of grinding and welding, I got this part done. I had to use a piece of pipe that I cut out to put in there because it was so much bigger. And you see I put a little bit of an angle on it like that, and I did that on purpose because of the way this angle's coming down, because I mocked it up. So I did that, which will help with the fitment. But I put a bunch of welds on there and then ground them all down and made it look smooth. But then I thought maybe it was weak, so I went around and put one more weld around it, and I turned the welder up really hot. And yeah, so that turned out pretty good. Up here, my welds weren't near as bad, so I didn't even grind those. I just threw it on there. What I need to do next is, these are where the rubber mounts were. Those are bolts that both busted off whenever I went to take them out. So now I gotta tap and hopefully drill those out and retap those holes. If not, I can put a bolt and nut in, but I'm gonna get those out. I cleaned up the end where my new exhaust gasket was, because it wasn't completely flat and that gasket looked like it was leaking. So I'm not going to put you through me drilling all this. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Alright guys, so that went way better than I even planned. I just used PB Blaster, soaked them for a little bit, ate some, went in, ate something, come back out, hit them with the torch for a little bit, just propane, and heated it up enough that I got the channel locks on them and ran them right out. So I have some grade 8 bolts I put in those sleeves that don't look the greatest, but I'll put them in there so they fit in the rubber bushing right. And I got my action camera set up. We're going to get underneath this thing and bolt this exhaust back up. Alright, so everything is on. I don't know if the back pipe's sealed or not. That flange I got to fix that, I probably should have tried to use the other one because it didn't work out as good as I thought it would. But I'm going to try it anyways. I tightened everything up as tight as I could. It didn't seem like it wanted to fit over the whole flange. It has like a sleeve, it fits over it. And I had to loosen that up so that it would fit around it. I don't know. We'll see. It might be loud. If not, it's going to be extremely quiet. So, It's in neutral. It still wants to. Got a leak. Right where the header meets the manifold. It's leaking. Alright, so we're leaking at both ends. Everything in between where I welded and all that stuff is all good. The back flange is leaking, which that's what I suspected was going to leak. And the front one, right up the manifold, it needs a new gasket. I'm going to look around. They have this copper exhaust sealant, silicone sort of stuff. And I've used it before and it works. But I'm going to look online and see how much one of those exhaust gaskets are. If they're not much and Advance has it, maybe I'll run and get one tomorrow because it's not hard to replace. But if it's something I have to order, I'll see what I got here to fix it in the meantime. This is that repair flange on the back. I tried using that other one and it's not going to work out for me. Hold on a second. That's better. So this one, what's holding it up is you see how this comes up. This is hitting the other flange because it has to go, this goes towards that other flange. And so I'm going to chop these edges off and then try to reuse this again. I haven't had Stewie in the videos much lately. What are you doing, silly? Huh? Yeah? Alright, so fast forward a whole day. I spent basically all day on that exhaust. After I got off camera, I kept trying to tighten the flanges, modify the flanges. I cannot get it to seal. That basically the back flange on the back of the catalytic converter. That side's not near as bad as the exhaust behind it. The flange is shot, and unless I find a miracle down here at the hardware store that I think will fix it, I'm basically gonna grind everything down and weld it straight together. You know, if it was a nicer car, I would never do this. But being the car that it is and the problems I've had with it, I have a welder available. I'm just gonna weld that thing together. And the top flange on the exhaust, I know if I put an exhaust gasket sealer on there that it will seal, but I need to give it time to seal. So I'm gonna put it on there, and I'm not gonna start the car until maybe tomorrow sometime. So we'll leave it a whole 24 hours to dry. But I am gonna weld. I believe I'm gonna weld that pipe together. I thought about welding nuts on each side that I could put bolts through and use as sort of like a flange, but that flange is so messed up I just can't get a seal on it. So this is what I'm gonna do. Also, today is the day that the snowpocalypse is about to hit. It's noon. They said it's supposed to start around noon. I'm starting to see little speckles of moisture on my windshield, but we're supposed to get like some ridiculous amount of snow, and they already yesterday issued it a state of emergency. They're getting a little out of hand with this stuff. Like, you know, the weatherman's not always correct. Why you would issue a state of emergency a whole day ahead of time? I mean, people can watch the weather and see what it's calling for, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as soft as most people.
They said snow! I gotta get the ram back!
Alright, so let's reverse everything I did yesterday. I'm going to take the whole pipe back off so I can grind that flange down and the areas around it really well so that I have a good surface to weld to. And then I can grind the end of the rest of the exhaust too, and it'll be all nice and neat then. And for anybody thinking, oh, your welds look really good. Well, that's because I did a heavily amount of grinding. All of that is metal dust from me grinding. So, yes, by trial and error, my welds got better at the end of me putting the pipe together, but I had it too cold to start off with, so the beads were humped up too much. They weren't like melting into it good enough. So I got a big mess right here. I'm gonna clean up my mess here, and then I'll get back to the exhaust work, because I don't like tracking all this dirt and dust and busted bolts and everything I got going on here. So give me a minute to clean up this area. Alright, so ground it down, and I kind of tapered it in because we're going to be welding in this area here. I did the same with that pipe underneath, and now I'm going to bolt them together the way I had it, and then I'm going to let the front exhaust drop down so it pulls this down further so I can get on top of it a lot better. Alright, so since my welds are so crappy, I don't know if you can see them, I ground them down a little bit, but I'm going to go around the whole thing with that exhaust gasket stuff I got, and just seal the whole way around the outside, just in case. And then I need to put some on the front with the gasket. And we'll let it dry a little bit while I'm working on this. Alright, so I'm hoping that this fixes the issue. I will close this episode out tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and bolt this back up. You guys don't want to see me messing with this anymore. I know that. It's like beating a dead horse. But I'll get back to you guys tomorrow after hopefully the sealant has time to seal, and we'll see how quiet the exhaust is. Alright guys, it's the next day. So this exhaust had plenty of time to dry my sealant. So let me throw you in this mount. There we go. Let's fire her up. We'll see what she sounds like. Quiet. Besides my squeaky belt still. I don't hear any leaks. Sounds good. Nice and quiet. Actually, off camera, I rolled underneath. There is no leaks, so we're good there. If you didn't notice, I got my snow clothes on, and let me show you why. So, if you guys excuse me, I have some work to do. So if you guys like this episode, go check out some other episodes, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of Unwrecked. Pizza!